First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
We have a flood watch in north central Florida. Good evening. It's Wednesday, September 16th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. UF forecast Rebecca Kolpman joins us in the Weather Center. Rebecca.
The flood watch is in effect for Clay, Putnam, and much of the east coast of the state of Florida, and that is through tonight and until tomorrow evening. Right now, there is also a flood advisory for Putnam County where heavy rain has been continuing. Could be some additional rain in the next couple of hours. Rainfall rates possibly up to 1.5 inches in an hour's time. Closer, though, to Gainesville. There's just some light rain in the area, but it's not the end to the rainfall. Even though Alachua County and the western side of the area is not included in this flood watch, there is still the potential for some heavy rainfall. But here's where that flood watch is through tomorrow night. For tonight, though, could still be some rain in the area. The heaviest of it will stay to the east of I-75 and along the east coast, but there could be some light rainfall that continues through the evening hours for some of the inland areas and possibly lingering in the overnight hours towards the east coast. I'll let you know when we finally start to dry out, though, coming up in my main weather forecast. Back to you.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, with more players opening up about their current problems with high-impact sports, the NCAA and the U.S. Department of Defense are doing something about it.
That's right, and better techniques and training for coaches about signs of concussions are allowing for fewer injuries in the field. WUFT Sarah Kimbrough joins us now in the studio. Sarah, you took a look at the current concussion research going on here at UF. What did you learn?
Today I found out that immediately diagnosed athletes recover approximately 5 days sooner than athletes who have a delayed diagnosis, and a delay can be as short as even 1 day. And delays can sometimes be purposeful. Some athletes are afraid to share their symptoms because they either want to continue playing or don't want to seem less appealing to recruits.
In the second game of his freshman year, Jordan Gaberti suffered a severe concussion.
As soon as I got hit, I fell towards the ground and it kind of went black for a couple seconds. And I just remember I got up and my coach was actually telling me, stay out on the field because, I was a defensive end. I was supposed to be on the field. And I told him, no, I got to come off. And
Gaberti failed some basic concussion tests and was off the field for 4 weeks. Since then, high school and college coaches have become better trained to spot the signs and symptoms of concussions because of more research in the field.
It's been helpful just to get more information. It's really hard to establish a number where you would say that concussions have occurred or have not. So
again, you can see concussions happen as low as 40 Gs and some as 200-300 Gs. I mean, the range is very variable.
Gaberti failed some basic concussion tests and was off the field for 4 weeks. Since then, high school and college coaches have become better trained to spot the signs and symptoms of concussions because of more research in the field.
When I was playing Little League football, we say we got a bell rung. That was the norm, and you go back and you finish playing. But nowadays, if you get your bell rung, as they say, we're going to take precautions.
Gaberti has suffered 3 concussions already and wants to play college football. But he does worry that his medical record will raise a red flag for recruiters. In addition, he worries about his senior year on the football field.
to get another one, it'd probably scare them, considering that would be around the four concussion mark. So I think definitely they would be scared.
Football isn't the only sport that create concussion risks. Lacrosse and others are dangerous too. This year, Alachua County will be placing an athletic trainer at all home lacrosse games because of concussion awareness and research. The lacrosse season starts January 18th.
Sarah, thank you. In Ocala, the city held its elections last night for mayor. Mayor Kent Gwynn was re-elected last night, defeating William Gilchrist. Gwynn won his third term with more than 60% of the vote. He says Ocala will see a lot of his work from last 2 terms really come to fruition.
More economic development. I mean, there are 2015 and 16, you will see amazing job growth here in Ocala, Marion County that is on the books right now that just hasn't come to fruition.
City Council member John McLeod lost a much closer race to Matthew Wardell, losing by less than 100 votes.
And one of the last wrinkles in Florida's lawsuits over same-sex marriage was ironed out today with an appeals court ruling. Gildas Doucet and his Florida partner settled in Fort Lauderdale after meeting in Paris and getting married in Massachusetts. He started attending FAU and later sought to avoid the extra cost of out-of-state tuition rates. He was turned down because a 1997 Florida law banned recognition of same-sex marriages from other states, and a 2008 state amendment reinforced a marriage definition of one man and one woman. But the appeals court says the recent Supreme Court decision means Doucet must be reclassified as a Florida resident.
With recent state budget cuts, a local club is not letting money get in the way of mentoring kids. WUFT's Haley Zagacki has the story.
In a quiet neighborhood in southeast Gainesville lies a hidden treasure for children. The Southeast Rotary Unit, a branch of the Boys and Girls Club of Alachua County, is a safe place for children to learn, play, and laugh. But DJJ funding has been cut in half, leaving the organization scrambling to keep the Rotary open.
Out of this situation, this budget cut that we have to react to, what we get to do is tell a bigger story and the better story of the Boys and Girls Club.
The branch closed in 2011 because of low participation. Now it attracts 70 kids from 8 different schools. This Boys and Girls Club location here at the Rotary is not even officially reopened to the public, but word of mouth in the community keeps bringing in more and more children despite the budget cuts. The Boys and Girls Club plans to do whatever it takes to keep the branch open without program cuts or staff cuts.
A lot of these kids are from rough backgrounds, and they don't really have people to listen to them. And being here, you know, it's not about making sure, you know, you're bossing them around. It's not that. It's making sure they have a safe haven.
For now, the Hidden Playhouse will stay a safe place for the children to grow up. Haley Zagacki, WUFT News.
Now, Monette says he has talked to both local and state elected officials about working together to get more funding for the branches. He is also hopeful they could receive state grants.
An audit shows the Grech biomass plant may have been overcharging the city of Gainesville since it opened. Grech built the plant with a deal to supply power to GRU for decades. Concerns arose about monthly bills as high as $8 million coming to the city. An outside audit questioned the city's deal making, and now the city auditor has reviewed the fine print on charges to see if everything's being added up. The city auditor says monthly bills should be running 50 grand lower, and the city could seek $800,000 in past overpayments. Grech disputes those findings. And people don't usually know what happens to their recycling after it gets picked up.
That's right. We learned that once it leaves the curb and heads to the processing plant, money is lost along the way. WUFT's Ryan Nelson joins us live from the newsroom. Ryan, what exactly is causing this?
James, Jenna, there are many reasons why, but the one we can do the most about is how we treat our recyclables. With just a few changes to what we throw out and what we recycle, companies may be able to turn things around.
The business of recycling may be in trouble across the nation. Waste Management alone reported a $59 million drop in recycling revenue in its second quarter. Among a host of factors is the labor cost to sort things when consumers don't get it right with their curbside bins.
Don't put your recyclables in bags. A lot of people will bag up all their recyclables in a nice, neat plastic bag, but the thing is, when that happens is you can't sort it properly.
Ken Kepler's lived in Gainesville since the late 1980s. He says he recycles weekly and would like to do more.
Education absolutely has to be a part of that. What do I put in my bin? When, does that ever change? Is it always the same? And then how are you letting me know that?
If you look at what's put in stores like everything from diapers to needles is arriving onto the conveyor belt at the local sorting facility, making the process less efficient.
Though recycling revenues are declining nationally, Alachua County ranks 7th in the state in recycling rates, and workers here at the materials recovery facility say it's all thanks to good recycling habits.
New technology could help with sorting, along with better habits at home. Some advocates say we just need to relearn everything and keep trying. Ryan Nelson, WUFT News.
But market conditions are changing too. China's no longer purchasing a significant portion of the United States' recycled material, and limited demand may overrule the changes on the supply side. Ryan Nelson, WUFT News.
All right, Ryan, thank you. Well, as a court considers whether to stop the October hunt of black bears, Governor Rick Scott says he trusts the FWC and will not use his executive power to stop it. The lawsuit claims the hunt is not based on sound science, but the FWC approved the return of a limited bear hunting season for the first time since the early 90s. Now, back then, the population estimate was only 300 to 500. A decade later, the estimate was 2,500 to 3,000. The goal of the 2015 hunt is 320 bears, basically at least 10%, but no more than 20%. So the hunt may not last all 5 days, but after 2 days, each management area will stop if their quota has been reached. And WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. On the way, a new small business opens its doors in Gainesville. We'll take a look at what it's already up to.
Plus, a former White House chef is setting up shop in Gainesville. We'll have more on that in our consumer news segment.
And a flood watch continues for portions of North Florida. I'll let you know just how much rain could accumulate in the next couple of days coming up after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. A new candy store is giving one public housing community hope for a brighter future.
WUFT's Caitlin Bernitis went to Monique's Candyland in Woodland Park today and has this story.
Monique Brumfield just opened her own store with the help of the Gainesville Housing Authority's Small Business Incubator. Her neighborhood store for candies and convenience items is the first of its kind in the Woodland Park community. Brumfield moved from the Tampa area for her son's treatments at Shands. She had a hard time scheduling work shifts around her son's appointments, so she jumped at the chance of owning her own business.
When this store progresses, it's going to help not only me, but it helps my kids too, because like I said, I want to be a homeowner someday. I want to get off the program and be able to be stable enough for my kids.
GHA Small Business Incubator helps individuals like Brumfield become entrepreneurs by helping plan and fund their business ventures.
Monique's Candyland is located right in the heart of the Woodland community. Students get off the school bus right over here and can come over to her store right over here.
Other businesses in the incubator program, some home-based, also target their own neighborhood.
When they see people like Monique become a success, that's going to inspire others, that if she can do it, I too can do it. Give them that sense of hope.
As for Brumfield, she has high hopes for her store and one day hopes to open a larger store and gas station. Caitlin Bernitis, WUFT News.
Now, GHA's Small Business Incubator started in 2012 and has helped start 13 businesses since then. And it looks like we have a new restaurant opening in Gainesville soon.
And this week we're joined by Connor Ingalls, who's filling in for Rafael Perez. Connor, what's so special about this new cook?
Well, James and Jenna, he actually served as an in-house chef at a place you might have heard of. A former White House chef is opening up a restaurant in Gainesville. Ed Lyons was the White House chef, Navy chef for George H. Bush and Bill Clinton. After making meals for the president, opening your own place doesn't seem so difficult.
It was a true dream job. It's very stressful because you have to be on all the time, and there can't be any mistakes. Because if there's a mistake, the president suffers.
In 2008, Lyons opened up a catering company here in Gainesville. He finds the college town to be a great area for his business.
Gainesville is a destination place, for those sports and for the Gators, go Gators. I think that it's a huge impact on our business.
Love the support of the local team. Lyons certainly knows how to cater to his audience, pun intended. Lyons also says great customer feedback has helped him decide to take the next step in opening a restaurant. Work should begin on Backstreet Chop House and Oyster Bar in October. Taco Bell has long been popular amongst the late night crowds headed home from the bar, but now in Chicago, you can skip the bar and head straight to the Bell. A new location is opening up that will serve alcohol. Customers can have their choice of wine, beer, sangria, and frozen mixed drinks. This is the first time that the Taco Bell chain will serve alcohol in the U.S. The new restaurant will also feature a menu of tapas-style appetizers, as well as an open kitchen so customers can watch their food as it's made. San Francisco will be getting a similar store with some alcoholic beverages, but the food preparation will remain the same as regular locations. And Olive Garden has announced that they'll be bringing back the Pasta Pass. The pass, of course, gives you unlimited access to as much free pasta as you can handle at Olive Garden restaurants from October 7th to November 22nd. And if that just wasn't enticing enough, the pass also allows for as much free Coke as you'd like. The passes go up for sale online tomorrow at 2 p.m. 1,000 individual passes will be sold at $100 apiece, with 1,000 family passes also being sold for $300 each. In social media, after years of public demand, Facebook is finally adding a dislike button. But but it's not so that you can tell your friends how much you disapprove of their new profile picture or relationship. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says Facebook felt the need to create the feature so that users could express sympathy on sad or upsetting posts. He also says it's been surprisingly difficult to create the button, but testing should begin soon. No official word yet on when exactly the dislike button will be unveiled. And Facebook aside, it's hard to argue anything's been hotter than Snapchat as of late. Now the app's owners are looking to capitalize on that popularity. The first ever in-app purchase was debuted yesterday, with users being able to purchase 3 additional replays of snaps for 99 cents each. Previously, Snapchatters were limited to just 1 replay a day. Still, any individual snap can be replayed only 1 time. And that's not the only change with the app, though. Snapchat also rolled out a new feature called Lenses that allows users to add various animated features to their selfies and videos. The app uses facial recognition software Luxury to power the new lenses. Guys, we've been playing around with the new Snapchat all day, and I'd encourage anybody in our audience to update. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I'll go ahead. But once I got it on the new update, it was kind of hard to use at first. I didn't really know how to actually access it, but once I got the hang of it, I know you two both know. I have
We're well aware.
Buck
Yeah.
wild.
I get emotional with those little
My
crying
battery
ones,
was drained right away from just 1,000
Yeah.
Snapchats of Jenny yesterday.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with. Thanks, Connor.
Thanks. Well, we've had a pretty soggy day here in Gainesville. I hope it'll clear up by this weekend.
Absolutely. Rebecca joins us to let us know if this rainy weather will continue through the weekend. Rebecca.
Well, we are going to experience some drying out as we head towards the weekend, but for right now, heavy rain is still possible in North Florida. And I did mention we have those flood watches in effect, a flood advisory also in effect for portions of Putnam County because of heavy rainfall that has been continuing and slow moving across the county. It's starting to move out, but there have been rainfall totals near 2.5 inches of rain in some spots just to the north of Palatka and further along the coast where there is that flood watch in effect. 3 inches of rain in portions of St. Augustine to the east and also 2.5 further to the south. In portions of Alachua County, we've had lighter rainfall, so the rainfall totals haven't added up as much. Near 1 inch of rain, though, still in some spots. The heavier flood, or the stronger flood concern, rather, is to our east in portions of Clay and Putnam County and along the east coast of the state of Florida, and that continues into tonight. But today has been quite the gloomy day with the clouds and this time lapse over the University of Florida. 1 round of rain moving on through, then some clearing in terms of the rainfall, but not in terms of the clouds, and there could still be more rain on the way. Mostly light through the rest of this afternoon and evening, and we could get an additional round coming in towards 9-10 o'clock at night here in Gainesville. The heavier activity will stay to the east and along the east coast through this evening. Could even linger into the overnight hours as well. I'm keeping rain chances elevated for inland areas through about 2 a.m. because there could still be a few showers, and even by your drive time at 7 o'clock in the morning, a few showers still out there. You can check in with us with radar at ufweather.org/radar to check before you go, and you can do it on your mobile phone as well. In the morning, still a few showers in the area. We're going to start to clear out in some inland areas through the afternoon. The heavier rainfall will likely continue along the east coast through much of the evening. That flood watch is in effect through tomorrow night until 6 o'clock, so heavy rain and flooding still there through this evening. That's because rainfall totals could add up in some spots upwards to 2 to 3 inches of rain for inland areas, close to 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Further to the east is where the higher amounts will likely be, possibly an additional 1.5 inches of rain in St. Augustine. That's on top of the amounts I just showed you, close to 2 to 3 inches. 2.2 Daytona Beach, 2.5 in Orlando. So that's why the heavier flood concern is there, and it's because of all this tropical moisture we have overhead associated with an area of low pressure that will be moving across the state. And as it moves out, drier air will be moving in. So we will start to dry out, and it's actually going to be quite a period of time where we could have some dry air in overhead. Still have to deal with the rainfall on your Thursday, though, through tomorrow. As the low pressure moves away, there could be some bands that try to move back in the afternoon. So we still have a slight chance for showers and storms as we head towards the weekend. Dry air moving in for the weekend here in North Florida, and that may last for a couple of days. First, we'll get through Thursday, mainly in the early part of the day for inland areas, but heavy rain could continue to our east. A slight chance for showers and storms on Friday, mostly dry, though, for the weekend and really to start off next week. Jenna James, back to you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. Well, the Florida Gator football team has now had 2 games to show off their new offense.
And they have relied heavily on one position. Our sports anchor Jonathan Perez joins us with more.
James, Jenna, that's right. That position is the tight end position, and they've been really effective this year. We come back, I'll show you the numbers that back it up. Stay with us. Sports is next. Welcome back to Sports. I'm Jonathan Perez. The Florida Gator football team is on the road for the first time this season when they take on the Kentucky Wildcats on Saturday. The Gators and the Wildcats are both 2-0 heading into Saturday's matchup, and one of the driving forces behind Florida's offense is the play of the tight ends. Today, UF tight ends coach Greg Nord said he's seen great improvement from all the players at that position.
I'm looking at a room of nobody that half of them didn't even dress for games, so it's a very inexperienced group, and so they've come light years from when I first got here with them as far as learning how to play.
DeAndre Goolsby leads the tight end so far with 132 yards and 6 receptions. Now taking a closer look at how the tight ends have been doing and comparing it to last year, in just 2 games, the tight ends have already scored 3 touchdowns, and that's the same amount of touchdowns the tight ends scored during the entire season last year. This season's Florida tight ends have reached 200 yards in just 11 receptions, and last year's teams had 237 yards, but it took them 26 receptions to get to that point. Florida continues to rotate Jake McGee, Ciante Lewis, and DeAndre Goolsby at that position. After playing their first 7 matches on the road, the Florida volleyball team will finally take the court in the O'Connell Center for their first home match of the season tomorrow. Florida comes home with a 6-1 overall record and is 2-1 against top 25 opponents. Tomorrow they start a 4-game homestand, and their first opponent is against the 9-3 Red Storm. St. John's has won 8 of the last matches, and Mary Wise knows it's going to be a tough match tomorrow.
Whenever you're playing a team building confidence with wins, you're going to be getting them at their peak, or at least one of their peaks. I think teams peak at different levels throughout the season, and that's what we'll face in St. John's on Thursday.
The match starts at 7 tomorrow at the O'Connell Center. We are still 5 months away from seeing any sort of baseball being played at McKeithen Stadium, but today the Florida baseball team released the schedule for the 2016 season. Florida opens the season on February 19th against Florida Gulf Coast, and this year's 34 home slate features 5 SEC opponents: Missouri, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, and Vandy. The Gators will also have 4 series against teams that advance to Omaha for the College World Series, and those teams are Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Miami, and LSU. The Gators will be on the road when they take on the Razorbacks, Canes, and the Tigers. Florida, as you remember, is coming off a season where they went to Omaha for the 4th time in 6 years and went 52-18 last year. The MLB is almost done with this season, and teams are fighting for a spot to play in October. Last night, the Rangers took on the Astros, and it was the Rangers who exploded for 4 runs in the first inning, but the real excitement happened in the 9th when the Rangers walked off on a sac fly to center by Mitch Moreland. The win bumped the Rangers a half a game ahead of the Astros for first place in the AL West, and they'll look to win their 4th straight game tonight against the Houston Astros. The Rangers have been one of the hottest teams in baseball as of late. Since August 1st, they've gone 27-14. In the AL East, Toronto and New York continue to battle it out. The Blue Jays are 3 games ahead of them for the first place spot in their division. You also see there in the wildcard standings, the Astros right now, they have the 2nd place spot and are just 1.5 games ahead of the Twins. Now in the National League, not that close of a race. The division leaders have already separated themselves from the pack. The only close race is in the NL Central with the Pirates 3 games behind the Cardinals. The Cubs right now in the 2nd wildcard spot, and they are 7.5 ahead of the Giants. If the playoffs started right now, there would be 3 teams from the NL Central in the playoffs. James, Jenna, just a side note, the Florida Gators women's, men's, and basketball team will have their Gator Madness in October 2nd. And today, they released that they're going to have a couple Gator alums as a couple of hosts. We're going to have Jen Brown and also Titus O'Neil. It's going to be a very fun game. Also, Jason Williams from the Heat is going to be visiting, so it should be a fun night for Florida fans.
Yeah, what a lineup. It'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely bring up a lot of hype for the basketball team, so we'll be excited to check it out. Jonathan, thank you.
And check out this incredible stunt. Australian tightrope walker Kane Peterson crossed between 2 peaks of the Eureka Tower, almost 1,000 feet above Melbourne's skyline today.
The 36-year-old laid down on the tightrope halfway into the walk and developed a leg cramp. But he managed to push through to complete the 69-foot gap. And according to local media, this is now the highest tightrope walk completed in Australia. Getting a leg cramp halfway through, that's terrifying.
I would have fallen and died.
I would be terrified just getting leg cramp walking to the car. Like that's not fun at all. Well, before we go, let's get one last check on the weather.
Here's Rebecca.
A flood advisory continues for Putnam County until 6:15. That's where the heaviest of rain was. It is now starting to exit the area, but this area has seen upwards of 2.5 to 3 inches of rain in some spots along the coast. That's where the heavier amounts have been and will continue to be, with the flood watch that is in effect until tomorrow night, and rain continues tonight as well. There could be a few light showers continuing through about 6 or 7 tonight. We'll have a little bit of a break for us here in Alachua County, but some more rain is on the way, moving out of the south to the north. Could have some lighter rainfall, possibly some heavier spots, especially to our east through 10, 11 o'clock at night. And there could even be a few showers that linger into the overnight hours, and we could even have a few showers popping up when you head out for work in the morning tomorrow. You can check in with us at ufweather.org/radar. Rain chances continue to remain elevated tomorrow. Inland areas will start to see some drying out in the later part of the day. Lower chances on your Friday, and then we get a break. We start to dry out as we head towards the weekend, and we even stay dry as we head towards next week. Back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
And here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.